the weekly Sunday show at 8 p.m. hosted by Virat Hindustan Sangam, wherein where we have Dr. Swamy every Sunday at 8 p.m. discussing many current issue topics. And today we are back. As you know, we host two programs. On a Saturday, we talk about the legal Gyan Ganga or Nyay Gyan Ganga, legal words of wisdom at 8 p.m. And on Sunday, we have our regular show of words of wisdom Gyan Ganga of the Virat Hindustan Sangam channel. Today, we are going to be discussing the US presidential elections and the latest status on the murder mystery of SSR. And Dr. Swamy will enlighten us on what is the latest position. I thank my co-host, Dr. Arvind Chaturvedi and Mr. Ramesh Swamy for their support to host this program. And I also thank our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas, Swaminathan, then our friend from Navi Mumbai, Vishwar Iyer, from Chennai, Swaminathan, and Vishal Mehta from Mumbai, and Rakesh from Bangalore for their support for putting this program together. So with this opening remarks, it will be over to Dr. Swamy to discuss the US presidential elections and the SSR murder case status. Over to Dr. Subramanian Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. First, about the US election, I'll spend about 10-15 minutes, and then for the rest of the time, maybe half an hour, I'll deal with the recent developments in the Sushant Singh Rajput's murder. I still maintain it was a murder, and I will explain some of the contrary things that have appeared and why it should be rejected, and we should go on the original premise that it was a murder. Now, you see, as far as the United States elections is concerned, it has a vital bearing for us. Although we, as Indian citizens, we are not going to interfere in their internal elections and say what should the Americans do and not do. But I do think that amongst ourselves, we must be very clear in our mind the consequences of the outcome for the next 4 years in Indo-US relations, which is crucial now, because if we are going to tackle China, I personally don't believe, and I'm now happy to see a former foreign secretary and a former who was also an ambassador to China for India, Mr. Gokhale, Vijay Gokhale. He has written an article saying what I've been telling all of you and I've been saying. He says that let us understand that Russia is a junior partner of China, because Russia has taken so much money from China that they will have to be with China and do whatever China wants done. And that's why I've been saying don't go to Moscow to discuss with China, because that will create the impression that the Russians are mediating. And so this has annoyed the United States, that we rejected Trump's offer for mediation. And then Trump changed his tune and said, yes, we are supporting India. His Pompeo, that his foreign minister, who they call a secretary of state, has been supportive. And so today the challenger, namely Biden and Ms. Harris, these two, Kamala Harris and Biden, Joe Biden, they are been committing in private meetings, which have been reported here and there, to Muslim groups, to human rights groups, and so on, that they will be tough with India. And those who say it doesn't matter who comes to power, there's a question of nuances. So, question today is, what is the latest development? Mr. Trump suddenly went into hospital because he became positive on this COVID virus, and there was widespread criticism that that's because he doesn't wear a mask and so on. But he's come out in a record time. And so, what would be the reason why Mr. Trump was able to come? And he's very active now. He's moving around, and there is no indication that he is infectious. And I'm afraid this is going to have a very positive effect, because I think, frankly, the Americans must have discovered not a virus, I mean a antidote or a vaccine, but they certainly seem to have discovered some medicines which cure you of COVID-19 in 2-3 days time. And they obviously don't have it in big stock, so they're not announcing it. This is my view, is my suspicion. Otherwise, I can't believe what happened. Trump going in and then coming out. And now yesterday's speech, he was full of vigor. So I think this is going to have a great deal of impact. But the second factor, which I think is now growing in Trump's favor, is that there's a fear that the Democrats will not be able to control law and order. And they're not strong enough, or they're complicit, and they're involved. So therefore, since these people who are breaking the law and rioting and so on are people who are voting for Democrats, they are part of Bernie Sanders' group and so on. So that reaction I am noticing. Third thing is, which I am plagiarizing Ramesh's thing. Ramesh says that there are those people who would normally vote against Trump, but generally they don't come to vote in big numbers. One is the blacks, Afro-Americans as they are called, and the second is women. So if that changes and they come out to vote, I think one has to know that even for Hillary, who's a woman, the women didn't come out in big numbers to vote. So if that pattern continues, the present 45-55 poll percentage, that's about 10 percentage points difference between the two contenders, is not big enough to say that Trump is losing. And I think as we reach October 25th, you will probably see that, in my opinion, that given my projections about the events that are likely to happen, probabilistically speaking, I think Trump is going to win. And that's what I thought in the beginning, and I'm still sticking to that on this basis. We have with us an American or a person who lives in America who is on this program, namely Ramesh. So I would suggest that he should give us an input, and then Jagdish and Arvind can, then I'll probably sum it up, and then we'll go on to the next subject. So Ramesh.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Swamy. Oh, you stole my thunder.
Well, I quoted you. Your intellectual property rights are secure because I quoted you.
So yeah, essentially that's what the bottom line today. Even if you again, there are, as you've always said, every day defines politics and elections. So one new wrinkle in this whole thing is Trump's positive COVID, Trump being COVID positive. Whether it was disclosed, not disclosed, and all those things. Even though within 3 days he's coming out and saying I'm completely cured, which is, so far not scientifically right, but he's out there and campaigning. So that is still a challenge, because all along his supporters have been saying it's got nothing to do, it won't happen, nothing will happen. But when the most protected man in the planet gets it, so it is a challenge. So that is one huge challenge he has to overcome. Second, as I said, the debates is basically based on the current polling. Debates is only trying to change 7% of the people. 93% of the people, according to most of the polls, have already decided who they're going to vote for. So these debates are irrelevant. in my view. So basically, that's why he's ready to sacrifice even not appearing on one. So this new health challenge is a new. I mean, as I said, is a new wrinkle. We don't know how that's going to shape up. We would know, as you said, by another week or so. Once the polling happens, we would know what people are reacting. But as on date, I still feel Trump has a good chance to get this thing done, because there are more chances of Biden and Kamala Harris bungling this up than Trump. Because Trump is honest; he just says what he says. As far as Biden is concerned, he has to sit within a box. He has to speak what he's been told to speak. He can't really be free to speak what he wants. That way, Trump has an advantage. So the thing is, people who going to vote for Trump, they're being silent. They just come out and vote for him. Period. There's nothing that's going to. The biggest thing I feel that's in Trump's favor of all those things is the stimulus, where he put my money directly into people's pockets. So a huge economic crisis has been a little averted because day to day a man did not suffer for what he has to live for. If he had not done it, it would have been we would have been talking in a different tone right now. So at this point in time, polls say Biden is way ahead, about 17 points, which is statistically very difficult to bridge. But it's going to be a very close call. I don't think we're going to say somebody's going to get elected on third. That's what I would conclude. It's inconclusive. That's what it's going to be.
And one comment before we move to the other two. There is a lot of postal ballot voting going on.
Right. We got one. We have in our house. We got postal ballots. Yeah.
All right, postal ballots. Now, the thing is that the Democrats are hoping that Republicans will break loose and vote. But if they have already voted and they voted for Trump, they can't now change.
Correct. Once you voted, you put your paper ballot. You can't.
I think even postal ballots, they have been saying, no, postal ballots favors the Democrats and all that. I think that the factor where they are banking on a major switch from Trump voters to Democratic voters has been frozen because of the large-scale postal ballot voting this time because of COVID-19. So I think this is another factor we will see.
Absolutely.
In the elections.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a new wrinkle that, I mean, the proportion of postal ballots, I don't think this is the first election that America has seen a huge in modern times where the number of postal ballots are going to be quite large. Normally, postal ballots are insignificant. It's basically the armed forces, people like that. But this election, again, unpredictability is high because of these postal ballots. Because the postal ballots can be received well into what some states have said you cannot, the mail stamp has to be third. Some of the states are saying, no, you can mail it even later or stuff like that. So whatever is received on third is what you should count. Some states are putting down. Some states, no. It has to be postmarked by third. It can be received and it should be counted. So there's going to be a huge crisis. I mean, confusion going around with that too.
Right.
Before we move, I have a question. Sorry, Dr.
Do the two of you have to say anything on the American elections?
Yes, I also want to ask Ramesh more because he's based today in America. What is the Indian attitude to, that is the people of Indian origin? What is their leaning in this election? Because our viewers wants to know, those who are based in India at least, they want to know what is the Indian community going to likely to do.
Right. Surprisingly, at least like Dr. Swamy has always been saying, a large part of Indian community are shifting towards Trump, which is because by default you're of an Asian Indian origin, you're a Democrat. They just stamp you like that, where they just basically, I mean, that's what it is. You're profiled that way. But that's not the case. There are a lot of shifts happening that people are looking at Trump more like a businessman. Is not because we see the other side. We are not seeing much confidence in what they can do. So I think that a lot of people are shifting towards Trump because a lot of them are educated things. But I think second generation Americans are predominantly Democrats. So that we cannot change. Yeah. People have my generation who are first generation. We are here. We just came in as immigrants, but a lot of them are still they're Trump supporters. But I don't think second and third. especially college kids, college campuses in America are brainwashed Democrats. So so that is another demographic. And that is a that demographic, Dr. Swamy, just struck me because they are at home. If they go out and vote, that's also a new wrinkle.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arvind, you have any on this
I
topic?
have one very important question from the point of view of Indians again. You see, Ramesh said the whole campaign is for the 7% people who are undecided.
No, only I'm not saying not whole. I'm just saying only the debates, not
debates. If you look at the media, American media traditionally has been divided between Democrats and Republicans every election, whether it is 2016 or it is 2012 or something. So media is again taking sides, and whatever projections you are seeing in the media today, they are because of the tilted version.
That is why, it showed, Arvind, the last elections clearly showed, like on November 3rd, Hillary was just waiting outside the White House steps to take oath. Literally, that's why, the polls were saying that Hillary had a 20-point lead some places, and this, it's all bogus. Because at the end of the day, like the silent majority who says, I've made up my mind, which is 93%, I'm just going to go out there and vote for the person that I want to. So that 7% is not because see, the 7% would make an impact if the spread is about 5 or 6%. The spread is 14% today. So either side, even if they try to make up the 7%, are not going to close that gap. I'm just saying, from a statistical standpoint, it is not much, because those are undecided voters. So they are going to do what they want to do. So that is where the challenge is. But the 7%, and obviously every polling, and last 2 days, what I'm surprisingly seeing, even Fox News is saying Biden's going to win, which is surprising.
Yeah.